Hello, everyone. Welcome into another episode of the OUA Basketball Show. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Griffin Porter. It is playoff time, folks. A lot has happened since the last time I spoke to you. We had a whole preliminary round of the playoffs. We saw some great basketball there. And usually, what I do here is I recap the games that have just happened, and then I interview my guest. And then after that, I sort of preview the upcoming games. But the thing is, I had such a great chat with my guests this week that that's sort of just what we were doing the whole time. So if I told you about the weekend that was or the weekend that's about to be, it would sort of just be repeating myself. So instead, I'm just going to go straight in to my chat with the fantastic Alvin Harrison of True Evolution Hoops. My guest today is one of the co-managers of the True Evolution Hoops Instagram page, all about everything U Sports basketball. Alvin Harrison. Alvin, thank you so much for coming on the OUA Basketball Show.
Of course, Griffin, it's a pleasure. I've been meaning to come on here for a while, so yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, well, it's great to finally to get you on. And just before we get into it, why don't you quickly tell the people a little bit about your page there and the kind of stuff that you guys do?
Yeah, of course. So True Evolution Hoops, we started just about a year ago. Our kind of main mission was just to increase exposure for the players in U Sports. We started off with OUA in October. The first post we had was a freshman list. We had the top 10 rookies coming into the OUA that season. It did really well, continues to expand throughout the season, and I feel like we really had a foothold kind of in the OUA conference coverage area. At the end of last summer, we decided we're going to expand to all of U Sports. And this year we've done even better. We're really well known around the Canadian basketball community, and our goal is to just keep going. So that's a bit about us.
Yeah, well, it's a fantastic page. The content is cool and interesting, and it's professional, so I really highly recommend everyone go check that out. True Evolution Hoops on Instagram. But for now, we brought you on because you're one of the best ball knowers in all of Ontario. You know, that's a well-known fact about you guys there. So it's playoff season. We just had our preliminary round wrap up on Wednesday in Ontario. So I figured we could get into a little bit of that. And why don't we start with the big headline that everyone's talking about? The U of T men's team beats Queens. That's the big upset of the preliminary round there on the men's side. Simeon Jeffers with 22 points. It came down right to the end. Ollie Engen had a chance at it. Didn't quite manage to put it in. Heartbreaking for a Queens team that was so hot coming into the playoffs. Alvin, what'd you make of that game?
I mean, first of all, I was completely wrong. I know initially I thought it was going to be a Queens blowout. I didn't think U of T had much of a chance, but really towards the end there, they made a really good push. I watched most of that game. They made a really big push. U of T got really hot, and I think once it gets to overtime, then it's anybody's game, right?
Yep.
Regardless, though, Queens started off the season pretty tough. I think it's still commendable how they were able to end off the season. They had a lot of surprises early on, had their big man leave. And I still think this season isn't a complete throwaway. It's still super commendable. Ollie Engen's my guy for sure. So I think he had a great season. Hats off to them, but also hats off to U of T. I don't think anybody had them coming out of the first round. So that goes a long way.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said it, like Queens will be back for sure. They'll be able to build on that second half that they had, the great second half. And they'll be hungry after this, we know. But yeah, right now you got to talk Blues. You know, they got a great win under their belt. Now they come in. They face the Western Mustangs in the quarterfinal. But just before we get into that, we'll talk about a couple more of these preliminary games here. We had Ottawa knock off Laurier on the men's side. We had Lakehead. They beat Laurentian by 8. And we had Guelph and Windsor play a really close game. Guelph ended up taking that one just by 6 points. Was there anything from any of those games, Alvin, that really stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I had the Guelph-Windsor game being an interesting one. That was a really good game, and I knew it would come down to the wire. I really thought Lebanon would have a little bit better of a game, but I still think even for Ottawa, Alec, Owen, they all had decent games. I don't think anyone specifically went off, but I think I knew they were going to handle that one at the end of the day, but I do think Laurier, even the score was pretty close, but I still thought Laurier, if he watched the game, would have put up a little bit more of a fight, but regardless, it was a good game. I would say again the Guelph game. I thought again Johan Sam would have a little bit better of a game. He had a good game, but again, regardless, I knew it would be tight. I knew it was going to be a tight game, and I think it's one of the best playoff matchups in general. But yeah, I'm just excited for the next round, to be honest. But
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's when we get to this level of the season, this level of OUA competition. Like, all
yeah,
the games should be tight. There's nothing but good basketball teams left here. Just
yeah,
before we get into the next round, why don't we quickly run down our women's recap as well? We had
yeah,
Guelph, sort of a get right game for the Griffins. They beat the Waterloo Warriors 77 to 66. Western handled Ottawa pretty
yeah.
comfortably. Sydney Cowan
Mhm.
had a huge game for the Mustangs. They beat the GGs. Brock beat McMaster. That set up a really fun quarterfinal match.
Yeah,
And York pulls off the only upset of the preliminary round on the women's side. They take down Laurentian in just like a classic York sort of like
yeah,
defensive, gritty win
yeah,
that the Lions love to play, and they really just ground the Voyageurs down to dust. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
anything
course.
there that you really are taking notice of, Alvin?
Yeah, I have a couple of points. I'd say first, York. I think York is really a team to watch out for.
Yeah,
I think teams that are typically defensive normally surprise a lot of teams. I think if you catch a lot of teams on a bad day, York will definitely take advantage of that. They've been a very defensively minded team all year. Yeah, and I really think York is one to look out for. And then I'd also say Western. Western looked really good in their first game. Renee Armstrong, Sydney Cohen out the bat, were just hammering on them. Um, yeah, and I really think like they have a really good opportunity to go far. But yeah, I really love that game. And then again, Madeline Weiner, I think just U Sport legend all around, right? I
yeah.
think it was what 30. I don't have it in front of me, but 37 and 17, something like that. Um,
Uh, yeah, let me get that for you.
yeah, it's like 37, just absolutely ridiculous. I watched most of that. They just couldn't guard her at all. And I think Brock is a good team, but with Madeline Weiner, they're going to be very difficult to stop. Like even just throughout the season, I really haven't seen a team that's been able to contain her, right? And I think again we have a former OUA MVP. Everybody knows who she is, but it's just so unguardable inside, right?
Yeah.
Inside, outside. Um, so yeah, that's a takeaway, but that's definitely a takeaway everybody has, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's crazy when you talk about maybe the fact that she could win a third straight MVP award, but like this season, most points she's ever averaged, she averaged 24 and 14. Like those are
yeah,
MVP numbers. So she did have
yeah,
37 and 17 in that game. By the way, you were dead on there. Throw in
yeah,
five steals for good measure, just because that's the one
yeah,
effect as well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
all
course.
right, let's get into our quarterfinal matchups here. We'll stick with the women's side for now. Some really, really good ones. We got Western. They're coming to Toronto to face the TMU Bold. That'll be a great game. York
Great.
gets the tough draw. They get the Queens Gales, so they're going to have to really pull out all the stops to hang with the Gales in that one. We all know what Queens is capable of. Guelph heads out to Ottawa. They're going to take on Carleton. That'll be a really fun one. And then we get Brock heading to Windsor to take on the Lancers. So it's Weinert versus Grutenbauer down low.
About it.
Leah Tate's going to be a big part of that game. So
Yeah,
four phenomenal basketball games. I'm really excited for all of these. If I
yeah,
had to circle one, I think Guelph at Carleton is going to be really interesting.
yeah,
Those are two teams that I just think both want to be at a higher level than they've been at. Like Guelph, I think, isn't very happy about having to play that preliminary round. They wanted to be one of those top four teams. They
yeah,
think they're better than that. Carleton has a bunch of recent national championships in their past. Players on those teams who have multiple rings, they know what it takes. So I think those are two teams that both really have something to prove in this quarterfinal. And it's crazy that one of them is going to be out in the quarterfinal, but I think that's
yeah.
going to be a really fun game to watch.
Yeah, of course. And even just to touch on that one game, I think Carlson's experience is really going to show in that game, right? I think they have multiple players on their team that have already won. So I really think that game will go a long way. But again, Hannah Borden, I think, is really going to step up for Guelph. And that one is definitely going to be a tight one. But I think the game I'm really looking out for is Western TMU. I
Mm,
personally think that the winner of that game is going to win the championship. I really
okay.
so. Um, Western again has picked it up kind of at the right time in the season, and just in basketball in general, I think that's always been the most important thing. The team that's the best towards the playoffs, and I think that's really been Western and TMU. I mean, obviously Queens has been good all season, but those two teams I've really loved all year round. I really love TMU's style of play, but I don't know. There's something in me that's just feeling upset from Western. I just loved watching them play yesterday. I just felt like they looked really good, and again, that one's going to be a tight one. You got Sydney Cohen, Renee Armstrong, Miriam Cornet for TMU. I think she's going to have a masterclass game herself. But yeah, that one I'm looking out for. And then for the Windsor game, I say this all the time, but I really love Leah Tate's
Yeah.
game. Um, Again, Kelly Gutenboer, we all know how good she is, but again, I think another kind of dark horse and key factor in that game is definitely going to be how well Leah Tate plays. Again, I really love her game, and I think they could do something special in that game. But again, ultimately, I do think the winner comes out of TMU Western, and I'm standing on that.
All right. Well, I hope you're not making any trips to Kingston anytime soon. You might be in trouble there. You're a
I
Queens
know,
man. You're a
I,
Kingston man.
I know,
Uh,
I know.
but that's okay. We'll get you like a hat and some sunglasses that you can wear in public. You don't have to show your face for a while. Uh, all
Super.
right, we'll jump over to the men's side here just before I let you go, Alvin. I know it's a busy day, busy content season. I know that for sure.
Mhm.
We got the upstart U of T Blues. They head to London to take on the Western Mustangs. Ottawa has to go down to St. Catharines to play Brock. Guelph is coming here to Toronto, where I am, to play the TMU Bold. And Lakehead heads out to Ottawa to take on Carleton. So four great of our Ontario cities, each getting a men's playoff game here.
Huge.
Uh, any of those jumping out at you?
I mean, look, first of all, I'm going to say TMU Guelph is a blowout.
Okay.
I really do think TMU Guelph is a blowout, 20 point, 30 point. I really just don't see that's a very, for me, bad matchup for Guelph. And yeah, I don't think anybody is really containing, like Eric Armstrong, Aaron Rooms. I'm really taking Aaron Rooms, and I just don't see them doing really much at TMU. So I'm gonna say that's gonna be a blowout. Western, I gotta go with my boys. Western, again, Mateo, Tiny, those are my guys. Um, I really think again they've struggled early on. I mean, sorry, they struggled late in the season, even though they had a stellar start to the season. But I still think they have what it takes. They have the hunger. They've had a nice little break with the bye. So I do think they'll be ready to play. Again, there's a little bit of bias there, but still, I really think Western's going to be ready to play against U of T. But I'd say those are the two games that I'm really looking at. Ottawa, I would definitely say I'm really waiting on Owen Kenny to step up a little bit. I think
Mhm.
he's had a good season. But this is what really makes great youth sports players. This year he's obviously been asked to really step up to the plate. Justin Tajori gone, Ankit gone,
Yep.
all of those guys gone from Ottawa. So I think this year he's kind of closer to the regular season. He's had a solid season, but I think the playoffs is where he's going to really be able to show that he's the type of player that can be the number two next to Alec and Brock, and really have a huge role in this playoff. So I think, again, Owen Kenny is probably going to be the dark horse to watch through these playoffs, especially for Ottawa. So, again, those are the games I'm excited for.
Yeah, listen, I love that you're putting teams on blast here. You're putting guys on notice. You're saying they got to step up if they want the true Evolution Hoops belief. That's
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
get that out lightly.
of
Uh,
course.
One more time, Alvin, just True Evolution Hoops on Instagram. You guys do fantastic work. So seriously, if you're watching this and you're a fan of, you do the whole country. You don't just do the OUA. So if you like any U Sports basketball, make sure you give them a follow. It's fantastic, fantastic stuff. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. And just a huge shout out to all the volunteers that obviously work on our page. Amante, Hannah for partnering with me and leading this page. And obviously it's a privilege for us to cover basketball. And I think Canadian basketball is a really hidden gem in the overall Canadian community. And I think my job is to really keep pushing that. So again, thank you guys for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
100%.
Thanks again to Alvin for that fantastic conversation. Great page over there at True Evolution Hoops. Make sure you check it out. That's going to do it for this week's episode. I'm going to be back early next week with a recap of everything that's happening today. You're probably watching this on Saturday before all the games get going. We got 8 OUA playoff basketball games coming at you. It's the best time of the year to be a basketball fan, so please make sure you got your OUA TV subscription locked and ready to go. Big bowl of chips or something, because we're just going to be on the couch all day watching basketball, flipping around, seeing who's up, seeing who's winning. There are going to be some fantastic games. Thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy this weekend's game, and we'll see you next week.